It's time once again for Laura and Erin to recap another year of Health Coach Radio and of the health coaching industry writ large. It's been so fun and incredible to be immersed in the continued growth of health and wellness coaching. We share some of our favorite episodes from this past season of the show and kick off season 6 with some life and professional updates. Take a listen. Hi, I'm Erin Power.
And I'm Laura Rupsis.
We're certified health coaches, and this is Health Coach Radio.
This podcast is about the art, science, and business of health coaching.
We share our insider tips to help you become a better coach and entrepreneur.
And we interview expert guests to discover how they've made it in this growing field.
It's time for health coaches to make an impact.
It's time for Health Coach Radio.
We're winding down season 5, Erin. Can you believe when 5 years is over, we're about to launch into season 6?
How many podcasts do you know of that have been around for 5 years? This is episode number, 200, 250 something.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah. Especially for our little niche here in terms of focusing on health coaching.
I know. We never run out of things to talk about. It's almost like we do this for a living.
You would think we were passionate about this, and this was the stuff that got us out of bed in the morning or something.
Okay, so what we like to do at the end of the year is we go through our list of guests, and not that we're picking favorites, but we just picked our top 3 standout, some of our top 3 standout episodes in case you missed them. You can go back and check them out, and then you and I are going to just riff on what's been going on with us individually in our own health coaching practices, and as our roles, obviously, as health coaching educators and as industry members. Like, we're in the health coaching industry sort of as educators and leaders, but we're also health coaches, and we have a lot of stuff going on and a lot to talk about. So I think we should dive in with our top 3. Why don't you kick it off with one of your faves?
Okay, well, one of my faves, because I just loved his personality, and I think what he does is just so important, and it's an area that leads health coaches to be just really insecure and not know what to do, is Corey Sterling. Oh man. So this comes up a lot on my admissions calls in terms of understanding liability, understanding the legal side. And so Conscious Counsel is the name of his business. And he's all about making law fun. Right? Making the legal side of your practice fun. I don't know if I would go that far, but he was sure fun. He had a fantastic personality and such a laid back point of view in terms of you have nothing to worry about if, first of all, you just have all your legal stuff and disclaimers in place and you function within your scope of practice. He made it sound so easy. And it's not easy if you don't have a legal background and you're trying to build this all together, but he's done a really fantastic job with his company, I think, in giving health coaches everything they need to not worry about that side of their business.
Yeah, he was very, to your point, really laid back, which feels good. It's like, oh, this maybe isn't a thing maybe I don't need to freak out about this stuff, right? And so they have a program that they'll give you the full package of legal documents you need and just kind of make it for you, which awesome. Get that off your plate. Just a fun Corey Sterling anecdote. So Corey did us a favor, and he created some legal content for us for our certification course for health coaches. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch it, but he's just very entertaining on video. And he in the introductory video, he's got this glass of something disgusting because the guy's like super healthy, biohacker type guy. Anyway, it's onion juice.
Ew.
So throughout the legal video lessons, he keeps referring back to his onion juice. And it's just very funny. And first of all, it sounds disgusting, but you couldn't pay me to drink onion juice. But anyways, very entertaining fellow for sure. And
That's
smart.
Hilarious. Yeah. And just, just his willingness to shoot us some free videos and educational content just goes to show you where his come from is. And that he's here to try to help make health coaching as a career a little less daunting and aiding where he can. So he was one of my top 3.
He was great. So I'll offer up one that was pretty recent and who I vibed with in much the same way we've all vibed with Corey. Dr. Kirk Parsley. who we really just interviewed a few weeks back, but he's somebody who has been like one of my health heroes for a long time. I remember chasing him around to conferences because he's the sleep guy. And he even joked that I'm kind of known as the sleep guy. And that's how I know him because, in my own private practice, circadian rhythm stuff is something that I really wound up just geeking out on, and more from the meal timing thing. But then sleep becomes such an important factor because metabolism, this is what I teach my clients. It's a 24-hour paradigm. Like you got the wake cycle, you got the sleep cycle. It's all metabolic in some ways. So he was really the first guy who I saw out in the world specializing in like a granular area like that, sleep, right? And that was really exciting for me. And so it was just really fun to finally get to talk to him after years of following him. And he's so entertaining. That's the other thing, is like, he's just a fun guy to listen to. He can talk your ear off. He's funny. He's an interesting person. And we had a great old time just chatting with Doc Parsley.
We did. Boy, we lucked out too, because we didn't have to chase him down. His team came to us. They found our podcast and said, hey, I think he'd be a great fit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got the email. Like, I use his sleep remedy for my girls.
Yeah.
Because, they're after school, we're in Florida, we're out running around outside. They get a ton of sunlight, but then they go to these after school activities. They don't get home till 7:30. And mom's the sleep police. I want him in bed between 8 and 8:30. They need to wind down. So my girls have their blue light blocking glasses, which they're embarrassed to wear when friends come over, but that's okay. I'll cut them a break, but they wear their glasses and they'll do his sleep drink if they haven't had a chance to really wind down because they've been busy, and it really does help. And what I loved about him was just his self-depreciating demeanor. Yeah. He downplays his own journey a lot and his own intelligence but he's not. He's obviously wicked smart. And he's from the standpoint too of just the practicality of medicine. Mm-hmm. And the role medicine is really supposed to play. And he told us before we started recording, no, you're probably going to have to shut me up. When I was like, we'll be respectful of your time. He's like, no, you're probably going to have to shut me up. And that was the case. We could have just kept going. He was so great.
You're right, though. He does downplay. The guy is a Navy SEAL.
Yes.
Physician. Like, I mean, pretty impressive guy, but also very relatable and just easy to talk to, and just a really fun conversation. So if you didn't have a listen to that one, go back a couple episodes and give it a play. All right. Who's number 2 on your list?
All right. So number 2 on my list is Daryl Rogers. So Daryl Rogers is I forget the title he has, but he's like basically the director of the Council of Holistic Health Educators, or the Holistic Council. And he replaced Jonathan Posey. Jonathan Posey actually founded it and then moved on to some other opportunities. And Daryl came in, and Daryl's background, he's got a strong background in like lobbying and regulation. And he was he was with IIN for a long time, and then left IIN to run the council. And I just think he brings a different type of mind to what the council's trying to do. And the reason I want to highlight the interview, yes, Daryl's great and he's super knowledgeable, was just because I want health coaches to really understand that regulatory landscape. And yes, it is 100% legal for you to practice as a health coach anywhere in the world. I had a conversation with someone in Florida the other day who had moved from a state where the laws were less cumbersome to Florida at a time when the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics was starting to lose its grip on the law here. And they were rabid and entrapping health coaches. And she was afraid to practice for a couple of years because they served her with a cease and desist letter. They tried to charge her $1,000 for doing stuff that she wasn't doing. And so there's ways that you could just navigate where you live with confidence and know that the Holistic Council, and there are other partners at work that they're trying to partner with, are here to support you and your right to practice. And we talked about some of the things that are new in the landscape of health coaching around testing and other factors. And what I love about a lot of what he said is, look, as long as we're coming to this from the standpoint of positioning wellness, restoring wellness rather than treating illness. And he said in that interview, let's stop using that clinical language. We're not clinical practitioners, so don't use that language. We got to find our own language. And I just love that. And I think everyone should be listening to that and just understand the landscape.
Yeah. I mean, the Holistic Council is a resource that health coaches should really familiarize themselves with. And to your final point there about, why don't we establish our own language and our own set of practices? I mean, this is our opportunity. We have a wide world of things we can help people with, important things that we get to do. We don't have to dip our toes in the realm of the medical clinical piece. There's so many things that we can help people with that are in our lane that have been, prior to the existence of health coaches, missing.
Yeah.
There's a lot we can do. And so important for health coaches to know all that stuff.
100%.
Hi, my number 2 was Unique Hammond. She's the founder of the Bean Protocol.
Yes.
So why this conversation made my list is because I think it's important occasionally to confront your own biases, quite frankly. I'm not a big bean eater, not a bean appreciator. In fact, I may or may not have discouraged my clients from consuming beans throughout my health coaching tenure for reasons that we won't get into here, but you probably figure it out if you know a little bit about Laura and I and where we come from. But, learn, and so for that reason, because I've not been encouraging bean consumption, I don't know enough about the fiber content of beans, and even insoluble fiber generally. It's just not a language I speak, and the detoxification pathways of the liver and how that works through the gut. And I as I mature, I am as I said, I'm confronting my biases. In fact, I've started, whenever I believe something strongly, I've intentionally been trying to seek out the opposite point of view. I recently purchased a book called Food is Not Medicine. Okay, for example. This is a book, some author, I haven't read it yet. Did I buy it or did I Audible? I can't remember if I bought the book or the Audible, but the point is, I have this book in my library, haven't read or listened to it yet, but it's like, this author is making the case that a lot of wellness industry people are often kind of pumping the food as medicine belief, which I believe. Mm-hmm. So I want to know the counterpoint is. I just want to understand the counterpoint. I just think this is making me a more well-rounded, non-biased, non-dogmatic health coach, which is actually important to me from a core values perspective. So Unique Hammond, really cool protocol that's helping a lot of people, but also it's a protocol that is so outside anything I would ever think to agree with. I was grateful to have that point of view.
Boy, I just remember during that conversation too, my own biases switching, because I always thought, so she used her Bean protocol to treat a pretty severe digestive issue. Was it Crohn's that she had? I think it was Crohn's.
Yeah.
And I always thought that beans were like the last thing you wanted to give somebody with a digestive disorder like that. I had no idea. And it blew me away. I sent the copy of that particular interview to my cousin who has Crohn's. But you're right. I mean, I sort of found my own healthfulness through more of a paleo approach with completely eschews beans because of the lectins and phytates and all that other stuff. And lo and behold, I think when used properly, can actually be truly beneficial. And the more we learn around gut health, like our human intestinal microbiome, Jennifer Baines, one of the lead health coaches over there, she'll incorporate beans for people as well, in terms of like hummus or something like that. So I agree with you. I think she did a wonderful job of illustrating a protocol that I think many people disregard. And in her case, this particular food is medicine. So I'm interested to hear about the book actually when you're done.
Yeah, I got 17 or 18 other ones to get through first. You know how it is, but in the line.
I do. Oh my gosh. Okay. So my last one was also a recent interview. His name is Mark England. He was referred to the podcast from a friend of ours, a gentleman who kind of heads up the educational department over at CrossFit. He knows Mark. He might have participated in his program, and he referred him to us. And his program, he is the director of health coaching, or the director of coaching or lead coach for an organization or a company called Lifted Coaching. And it's all about changing your mindset and understanding the power of words and the stories that he calls, does he call them myths, I think, there's a term for it, the negative stories that we continue to tell ourselves and what that does on our own ability to actually affect change and how we behave and our ability to reach our goals. And he was so passionate and he was so funny that I am convinced that yet another course I think I might have to try to enroll into, because I think all of us have people in our lives that need this kind of mindset shift, that have been stuck in this negative feedback loop their entire lives. And we are all just almost feel powerless to help. That I think what he's talking about, and just he took us through some word games that where you either just take out a word or replace a word, and the power changes. The power goes back to the person rather than to the words. And I just found it super empowering to me going, that conversation.
I did too. We talked a lot about mindset coaching. I kind of did a little jig when I said that, because I don't even know. I even asked him, like, what even is that? I feel like maybe I need a mindset coach for my clients. I don't know what it is. And he really simplified it. He said, for me, he simplified it. He in two different ways. He pointed out the difference between what he calls soft talk and solid talk, which you hear people say a lot. Like I hear my clients say, "Oh, I just need to be more prepared." And it's like, that's just such nebulous, vague, such a non-action statement.
Right.
So the words we use. So to your point, the couple little exercises he had us do, and then the other thing that I thought was so interesting was the use of breath to create the cadence of the conversation. I was just really interested in that. And I thought, language and breath, those are two tactics that I can learn how to leverage. And so he has this Team Unlifted coaching course for health coaches. So it's just like teaching you a different kind of coaching communication skill, right? So you might know how to coach, you might have a great program, you might be able to solve health problems. And there's also room to improve in like how you literally engage in these conversations with people to make me more meaningful, to have more meaningful connections and make more meaningful change.
Always. I love it.
Okay, my third one was kind of obscure, maybe-ish. Mason Bendewald. He was the camera guy for some big like fitness brands, so video fitness brands. And, that probably sounds like unusual. Why did we talk to him? But he had so much to teach us about presence and how he could nurture people in these video shoots to be really present and authentic and sort of anchoring to your authentic presence. And I just thought that was such a useful, he did a lot of useful education for folks, especially in this modern era of anyone like who's building an online business like I am. And then, your content marketing efforts are probably going to be in the realm of Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, something probably where you're flapping your gums at your phone camera. And that's very uncomfortable for a lot of people. And that's okay if it's uncomfortable for you. You don't have to do it, but maybe you could. And maybe it's worth exploring what makes you unique, what makes you charismatic, what you uniquely can bring forward from an energetic perspective. And I just thought it was really useful.
Yeah. He also, if I recall correctly, was talking about the power of story and using the power of how to tell a story on camera. And he was using an example of like demonstrating a push-up or something, and how do you make teaching somebody how to do a proper push-up more interesting and more engaging, that someone wants to continue to watch you. And he was telling us a story about someone who was telling a story about doing push-ups with his baby and pushing down and nuzzling with his baby and pushing back up. And so I look, at this day and age, I just think in order for you to differentiate yourself, people need to know you. And I didn't get the impression from our conversation that you needed to somehow be an actor, like at all, right? You needed to be yourself and be able to tell your story. And this is something I think you're really good at, Erin, too, is, on our episodes, you talk about, I got an anecdote, right? And look, the more you're coaching and the more people you're helping, the more anecdotes and the more stories you're going to have to share. And that brings things to life for people. And I think if you're able to share stories or anecdotes like that on whether it's your social media or a YouTube channel, or use it to illustrate a concept that might be difficult for the typical health consumer to really grasp, the more they're going to be drawn to you. And I think drawn to do something because they finally get it. Story selling, I think is the name of a concept that my couple of employers ago used to talk about. And I'm seeing that come back around more and more.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the people that he was doing the production for these video shoots, some of them became fitness celebrities, but they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
They were simple, basic, just like you and me, people with a point of view. And he taught them to sort of nurture and pull out what makes them unique. So we all have that. We all have something like that. And I know a lot of people don't think they do, but you do. So go back and listen to that episode.
It's a good one.
We did it. Okay. It's so hard to pick the top three. Oh,
I know. And then you feel bad that the other people, but it's not that the other people weren't awesome. They were all awesome in their own way, but these just had something, I think, unique that if you missed the episode, you want to go back and watch.
Yeah. Okay. So let's circle back now to the Laura and Erin show. So we like to talk through what we've got going on and what our year has been like. Mm-hmm. And what we've got going on. I don't know. Where should we start with this? What do you think? Who wants to go first?
Well, why don't you go first? Share a little bit about your kind of foray into a different world here in terms of your own private practice.
Yeah. So backstory, private practice. I basically have an online business. I have had an online business from jump, like right out the gate in 2014. So 10 years ago, went online right away. And that's because I had like a relatively strong tech background, so I could do it relatively easy. But I did it all myself. I've done it all myself for 10 years, and it's going pretty good. I've had a lot of client successes. I think I've reached the 2,000 client milestone.
Wow,
which is crazy. That's one-on-one and in groups, right? So I run these groups, so it bumps the numbers up a bit when you're running groups. But one of the big stories for me this year is a couple things. This is the year I really began investing in my business and in my development as a business owner. So really kind of, rising above just the practitioner space and like, well, now this is a business and this is an organization that has, standard operating procedures and protocols and, moving parts and administration, and it's got a lot of things to it. And I think it needs to grow. I think it's an inflection point where it's going to either grow or honestly shrink.
Right.
Like it's either going to grow or shrink, because at this point it's grown to the point where I can't really manage it at its current level. So I had to choose, what's it going to be? Am I going to shrink it back so it's more manageable, or am I going to take a big leap and try to grow it? And I went for the latter. And I think either one of those two forks in the road is perfectly viable. We've talked about the happy little practice. That's a concept that we've, who was that? Karen. Yeah. That was a few years back, but either way, I just decided to make a leap. To take a leap, if you will. So one of the things I did, I hired a business coach that was not inexpensive. So I really shelled out the big bucks for a business coach who specializes in a certain thing. And that certain thing is, among other things, paid ads. Mm-hmm. So I've grown my business organically, mostly through Instagram, Now we've had a lot of folks on, business coaches who have told us and really tried to get this into our skulls. Like, listen, social media is great, and don't forget your email list. Those are the people that are in your world. And I had maybe 1,200 people in my email list, really. So I barely ever grew that thing. I didn't do much to push people to it. So anyway, through this paid ads process, which by the way is very, very involved. It's very involved learning how to run ads, and then the whole funnel that comes from an ad. So somebody sees my ad on Facebook, they click into this whole funnel that was built out with me and for me from this business coach. The whole tech build out was included in the price of joining this program. And it's interesting because you get, I'm going to use the word randos. Okay. So when you're growing organically, the people have been following you, they get your point of view, they're listening. Then they finally someday say, you know what, this is the coach for me. I'm going to book a call. They already know they kind of want to work with you. And that's the beauty of organic. With ads, it's just somebody who saw your ad and it resonated and they're like, yeah, I'll book a call with this person. So you get a lot of people on the phone who are not automatically the perfect. Well, they are good clients because they clicked through on an ad that you specifically wrote to speak to them. And that's the thing, is the copywriting of the ad has to be very clear to the person, like, you're talking to me. So there's a real science to writing the ad. Then there's a science to this kind of enrollment call, because they're not totally sold on me yet. And I have to do a lot more selling. So I have to shore up my selling skills, which is something I never really had to do before. I mentioned the email list before, because what has been really interesting from this process is my email list has exploded. I have almost 10,000 people on that list now after 1 year, because the paid ads get people into your email list. That's the funnel, right? So now I have 10,000 people in a list who I need to nurture through more regular email communication. This has been a very good exercise for me. I get up in the morning, once a week, I try to email my list and I think, what am I going to talk about today? So then I have to kind of just be in a different kind of content creation mode. So it's been hard. It was an expensive jump into this procedure. It's been hard. The first year for me was getting my legs under me. But my business has grown, and for 2024, it's going to grow even more, because I'm going to be hiring into my business. First of all, I'm going to be investing a lot more. I'm re-upping with this coach for another year. I'm investing in another coach to help me with organic growth. Joining a high-level mastermind. Like, this is tens of thousands of dollars. I'm excited to invest in my business because it will only grow if I do things differently. Right. And I want it to. And I'm going to hire somebody into my business, this sort of visionary integrator model that is popularized in a few well-known business books. There's a book called Rocket Fuel, a book called Who Not How. These are great books to listen to if you've gotten to a point in your business where it feels like I'm at this fork in the road where it either is going to grow or shrink. This idea, the visionary and integrator. So the visionary is the leader of the business who has the ideas and who has the expertise and the knowledge and who's the sort of front man. And the integrator is the person who runs it, right? So because when you get to this point in your business, you're doing everything and it's exhausting. It's so exhausting. That's where you get to that fork. I literally want to be on the coaching calls. I maybe want to post to social once or twice a week, and I want to write this email once a week, and that's it. And every other part of my business should be run by somebody who's got a brain for that, who loves systems and processes and improving them, and who has different ideas about how to use the technology in my business, how to integrate it better, how to really leverage it, because I don't have the bandwidth to do that. So I'm really excited, because now when you start to kind of think about your own business that way, now the opportunities of what I can do with it are so exciting. I'm thinking of, like, I came up the other day with a charitable organization I could create. Ooh. And a retreat I could run, and the books I want to write. And before that could have never even, I couldn't have conjured ideas like that, because I was so in the weeds of running my business day to day. So my private practice has grown, and because I've now gotten to the point where I'm excited to invest, right? That was interesting, because, like I said, when I invested in this business coach, it was expensive, one of the most expensive business coaches, and I've used a few, but this is orders of magnitude more to pay for his program. And now that I've paid that amount, I'm like, okay, how can I pay more next year to get even more? Like, it's crazy how that works. Yeah. Like, especially something like me, I have one of those scarcity money mindsets. That's just my sort of boomer parent upbringing. Money is hard to get. It's hard to earn. You have to bust your ass to make money. And now there's this sort of abundance where it's like, the more I invest, the more I can grow, and the easier this becomes. And that's such a total paradigm shift for me. Hi, it's Erin Power here, co-host of Health Coach Radio. Fitness has always been a part of my life. I used to train clients one-on-one, and I still teach group exercise classes to this day. Fitness is how I got started on my journey to health coaching. Working as a fitness trainer, I always wanted to go deeper than the reps and help my clients incorporate fitness and movement into every aspect of their lives. I instinctively knew that reaching fitness goals depends on pulling the focus from performance and putting it on holistic, sustainable change. And that's exactly what the Primal Fitness Coach certification shows coaches how to do. Your clients deserve to move better, feel better, be pain-free, enjoy exercise, and love their bodies. The Primal Fitness Coach certification teaches you how to train people to be fit for life, to avoid injuries, increase mobility, develop lean muscle mass, protect joints, and optimize metabolic health. This well-rounded functional fitness certification covers best practices for daily movement, strength training and conditioning, HIIT exercises, sprinting, and more. It also includes practical hands-on coaching training and business development lessons to help you launch and grow a profitable fitness coaching business. Visit primalhealthcoach.com to learn more about the Primal Fitness Coach certification.
Yeah. All the episodes that we had with money people, that's something that you would say all the time about what a sort of limited mindset around money and like, I don't even want to think about it. And so what do you think that was? I mean, because you've invested in a couple of business coaches that did they do a good enough job that you got a little bit better, but weren't quite there so that you were so rather than it turning you off from hiring a business coach and spending more money, you actually invested more. And I know who you're talking about. I don't know if we want to mention him in this. I'll leave that up to you. But there was something about him, I think, that might have spoken to you. So was it, every other business coach gave me everything but, and now I'm getting this missing link. What was that?
That's a good question. That's such a good question because I invested in two other business coaches before him. And one of them should never have enrolled me in their program. Like on the discovery call, I wasn't their ideal client. So, and that it was because they were focusing on, it was like cold DMing was their whole strategy. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to, that's not something like that. So I actually got my money back from that guy, but it didn't sour me. Then I resonated with somebody else who I followed for a long time, who focuses more on the organic traffic side. And the thing was, that program wasn't for me either because it was more for sort of beginner intermediate business, and mine was at an advanced level already. So it was just, I kind of had leveled out of it, and that was my mistake. I enrolled in a program that wasn't right for me. It was sort of, I also think there's something you said about like, I want to reach a little bit. I'm more of a reacher. Like I want to be the dumbest person in the room ultimately. Right. So I want to go and join the advanced thing. And this program that I ended up joining and loving was very, very advanced. Also because it's paid traffic, it represented something that seemed to me like an obvious opportunity. Like how much more organic can I do without killing myself? I don't want to be on Instagram all day long. I have no interest in that. In fact, I think I made this stupid joke one time that if I won the lottery, the first thing I would do is delete Instagram off my phone, which is the weirdest thing to ever say, but I did say it. The point is, it's like, there's more people out there that I can help, but they don't know I exist. And that to me was like an aha. If they knew I existed, that's actually mission critical for me. That's a mission. It's not even an income. It's an impact goal. They don't even know I exist. And I got very excited about that. What if more people knew that my approach existed? So it is an interesting, I love that you brought this question forward. Even having invested tens of thousands with other coaches where I didn't get the traction I wanted, it didn't put me off. It made me see what was possible, that if I could really crack the code and find something that's going to work for me, that was the only way my business was going to grow. And that takes some bravery, and I don't know.
Well, and I can see why paid ads for someone who's not ready for them would just, I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start. And I think there are some people that are like, oh, this thing on Facebook says I can boost it. Is that a paid ad? Like, it's
how many times did I boost a post? It is a whole other world. Don't press that button, gang. Don't press that button. You have to know how to do this. But the coach I'm working with will only work with established coaches. So this isn't the kind of thing that you're going to do right out the gate anyway. You have to have a program and a system. You have to have some precedent and some social proof, and you have to have a lot of things already built out before you really can successfully execute ads. You have to be willing to grind because there's so much that has to be built out and you have to learn. It's highly frustrating because now we're dealing with Facebook ads and those are a can of worms. Never mind. Yeah. But this coach had a live event back in September, and which I love. And it's been a long time since I went to a live event. And I mean, I feel like at this point, I'm going to throw my credit card at any live event anybody offers, because they're so great, just so great to be in the room. And what I was really excited by is this is one of the first live events I went to where I liked every single person I met. Every single person there was just like me, appear at the same stage in their business. And then I got to meet people who had taken these principles and gone to the moon with them. And it's like, that's what's possible.
Yeah.
And so being surrounded by what's possible physically, maybe I'm a kinesthetic learner, but it got me really excited. So again, next year I've got massive investment on the docket already. Gang, I can't really afford it, but I'm going to be one of those people that's like, I maxed out my credit cards to join this mastermind. You always hear those. I joined this mastermind, and it was the best decision. I 10x'd my investment or 100x'd my investment. And I believe that's possible. So I'm doing it.
I love it. So now that you've done both, you built the first few years of your business in organic, just content marketing, a lot of what we talk to our students about, and have now graduated to this. Do you think that's the right path, kind of getting out there, getting comfortable with being in social media and creating content? And because the coach that you're referring to, I remember him saying, boy, it's going to be a long, slow slog to grow your business that way. But I have to imagine you've got to have a little bit of something first before you move into this kind of investment.
I pretty strenuously believe that. And that's something I teach our business students, which is you have to create some kind of solution, and then you have to start talking about it somewhere. And right away, no one's paying attention. You got no one. There's no audience, but you have to start talking about it, just honestly to grease that groove. I'm the expert that has the solution to this problem. I'm the expert that has the solution to this problem. Eventually the algorithm will, do what it does and serve it up to 1 or 2 or 10 or 15 people that care. That's going to take a long time. And especially now, like frankly, now is harder to grow on a social platform than before. So somebody who joined 10 years ago, they had it a lot easier than you're going to have it now. But I think this exercise is critically important. Once you've built a program and you've had a little bit of practice on your messaging, then you can jump into paid ads. You don't start with it though. You have to have a little bit under your belt with respect to a program and some messaging, clarity around your message and who you are as a health coach. I'm still going to use organic means, which is why I now am going to have 2 business coaches. I'm going to have the paid ad business coach. And I'm going to have an organic traffic business coach, because truly my business is 50-50. When I look back at my earnings from 2023, 50% of it came from paid ads, 50% of it came from organic. That's not nothing, right? So I can't abandon organic now. I have to figure out how to play nice with both of them. And I think it's totally doable, but I can't do it myself. So this is why I have to hire in this integrator role. This is, by the way, a full-time job for somebody. Like I've started putting together what this person's roles and responsibilities are. It is a legit full-time job for someone. And that's really cool too, because who thought of that? Whoever would think I'm going to become a health coach, and then someday, wow, now I'm an employer creating a job for somebody, like a real job for somebody that pays their bills and covers the mortgage and supports a family. That's such a crazy up level. Yeah. That I almost can't even I can't even believe it, but it's there. It's like right there. That's a 2024 thing for me. And it's pretty cool.
So you're going to continue to be the coach and get on your coaching calls, and you're going to be the visionary and all of that. What you're looking for is somebody to help tie all the back end pieces together. And
it's like the operations manager, but it's not just them it's not just an admin assistant who's like clearing my inboxes and keeping my calendar organized. Like they're running systems and processes and improving and looking for the holes that I'm not seeing. And they're running all of the systems. They own it. And this person has an interest in that. They geek out on it and how to improve processes. And this person is going to be completely autonomous. That's their job. They're my partner in a way. Like, this is not a VA who lives overseas. This is somebody, well, they might live overseas, but this is my integrator, my partner. So it's a really specific role that I have to have a lot of clarity around. So one of my business coaches, and I'm going to have 2, is specifically going to help me with finding this person and supporting this person. Nice. Yeah. So that's my 2020.
Were they the ones that gave you that term integrator, or is that how you describe it? Or
that came from the book Rocket Fuel. But she uses that visionary integrator language. So I love it. I love that language, like the integrator. That's great. As somebody, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I need. All of my systems, everything I've done up until now has been very fledgling, right? And that's cool. Like I encourage health coaches to start that way. Just, get a booking tool, get a little website, start posting on your little Instagram. It starts off very small and very scattered. And that worked for me for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But if you persist, which you better, gosh darn it, at some point, that's going to have to become a more integrated process. And you might not be the person who's good at that. So you're probably not. I mean, if you go into private practice, you probably have some entrepreneurial little bug somewhere deep within you. And these books are interesting because I never would have thought that I was the kind of person who had the visionary personality type or the entrepreneurial bug, but there were some little sound bites like, what were your unique abilities? When you were a kid growing up, what kinds of things were you weirdly good at? And here's one. I was weirdly good at fixing typewriters. Hear me out. Hear me out. I know that I'm aging myself, but I was weirdly good at fixing typewriters. So I would fix everybody's typewriters. So I'm a hands-on kind of conceptual person that can figure things out. And I also created this niche category for myself as the typewriter fixing kid. I know that's so crazy, but I forgot about that aspect of my personality. And you can get really stuck into the grind of business development. But I think anybody who decides they want to do that probably on some level has an entrepreneurial bug. We talk to a lot of people, like our students, who say, I'm not an entrepreneurial type of person, but you might be. You have to go back into your own history and uncover some of your very specifically weird, unique abilities, the things people used to comment on about you when you were a kid. You might be surprised that you have visionary in you somewhere.
Wait, that's so exciting. I can't wait to hear how 2024 plays out and who you end up hiring and where your business is at that point, and sharing it with the rest of us so that we can all benefit from your wisdom, your words of wisdom.
I will. Well, I'm excited about your 2024. So why don't you fill us in on what's going on with you?
Yeah, it's going to be a totally different year. We've been talking about on the podcast and within our own community about how there's more than one way to do this health coaching thing. And that our program, the main certification, has an entire course built on how to build your own business. But that we recognize now, after people, to your point, maybe went down that path thinking, oh, this sounds really cool, starting my own business. And then they go down that path and they're like, yeah, I don't know if this is for me. And it's kind of switching more towards this. I want to go see if I can find a job, but that's a double-edged sword. You're not going to earn as much typically. Your salary is going to be capped at what somebody's willing to pay you unless you can negotiate in some sort of variable compensation based on the growth of what you're able to bring to the table. You may be coaching around a program that you may or may not believe in. And so there's other aspects of this, right? It's not something you own, but it allows you to flex that coaching muscle and do what you really want to do. Then I think it's the right move, whether it's forever or for at least that stepping stone. Like, hey, I just want to get out and coach and build some confidence coaching. And then I can see about maybe kind of starting my own business. And we've been talking as a team at Primal about creating this bridge that allows health coaches to find a place to just work, to find that path to get out and just coach and build their career as a coach, and thinking more like a trade school, right? In terms of, okay, we're going to educate you, we're going to train you, and then we're going to provide you with some connections to possibly get out and look for a job. And it's something that I've just been really passionate about, because you and I know we've talked about this statistic, something crazy, like 80% of the people that own, this isn't just health coaching, this fitness coaching, coaching, something crazy like 75 to 80% of people are not either using it at all or not using it full time. And that needs to change. With the sheer number of people that want to enter into this industry, boy, is that a shame. And by the way, we need you. We need every single health coach that has a passion for this out there making a difference, because the world is not getting healthier. We are rapidly getting unhealthier. So anyway, through this mission, I had met an individual who owns a company. It's called Simplex Health, that is deeply in line with many of the Primal philosophy in terms of food as medicine. and deeply aligned with the fact that the biggest culprit in chronic illness is processed food, in particular processed sugars and all of that stuff. And he and I were talking about his business. And I asked him if he used health coaches, and I explained what I do for Primal. And do you know who Mark Sisson is? And oh my gosh. So anyway, tremendous synergy between these two companies. So we started by offering this internship that we are still learning. We're just in the first cohort. We've learned a lot here in terms of how to make that better for the next cohort. And the goal in the internship program is every quarter to bring in new health coaches, in particular Primal health coaches, but new health coaches into the Simplex ethos and put them to work doing various aspects of the business. So for folks who are looking to just get a job, hopefully they end up either hired by Simplex or you get a letter of recommendation. But you're going to learn marketing. You're going to learn the clinical side. You're going to learn some of the corporate wellness side. You're going to get, if you opt for one of the longer, you'll get to coach, you'll get to do the admin side, the not fun stuff, all that stuff. So anyway, it turned into this internship that then morphed into, hey, Laura, do you know a health coach who has some background understanding how to use a CGM? Here's what we're doing. So they were launching this sort of pilot program on pairing health coaching with a clinical RD and a CGM to see if they can both affect behavior more naturally and more effectively, but also move the needle on certain blood markers and things of that nature. And they eventually asked me if I could just come on and help. So I went on as just a part-time contracted employee. So this kind of, like the opposite of you, sidelined my personal independent practice for a while. And Simplex just kind of became my only kind of private client. And I was working with their people. And what kept coming up was me saying, you know what, you need a director of health coaching. You need somebody who can organize all this from a corporate level, because here I am from the outside. I've got like 2 hours a day that I can actually affect and make a difference. You need somebody there who's actually leading the charge and can help you figure out how to integrate this. So they ended up offering me a position with them as the director of health coaching, which at first was like, my initial reaction was no. You know, how do I do that? I've been at Primal from day one. I was the first employee. But then over time, as I was continually thinking about it, like if I really want to put my money where my mouth is and help build a bridge and a line to a career path for health coaches, I need to help create that. It's not enough necessarily in my mind. If I have an opportunity for a company that's open-minded and wants to do this, they just don't have the infrastructure. They don't have it set. If I can go in and build the infrastructure and build the careers and build the platform and bring health coaches over, I can do more there than I can as admissions director here, that there's somebody else that can do that. So starting at the end of the year here, I'm going to be over there full time at Simplex Health as the director of health coaching. So my private practice, I'm still going to have my LLC. I'm still going to have those people that just know what I do, that, hey, Laura, can you help me? And they'll just be I'm just not going to be actively marketing it, but it'll be there. But my full-time role will be as the director of health coaching. And then my hope is to continue the podcast here, to continue to spread the message to all health coaches in terms of career path and what health coaches are doing professionally. But I do think health coaches are going to be what saves clinical. Health coaching is going to be what saves the healthcare industry, because it's the biggest missing link from assessment, protocol, and success. There's nothing in between there. And that's where health coaches are going to fill in. And I aim to prove that. We also think we just finished an interview with Laura Timbrook about corporate wellness and getting corporations to buy into the actual benefit and return on investment of a corporate wellness program. I aim to prove that as well through this organization, because guess what? They have a clinical side that can run the numbers, that can do this and prove to corporations that this makes a meaningful difference to their bottom line. And then also creating that path for their direct-to-consumer side for those that don't have to worry about insurance, that are sick and tired of using insurance, that want to advocate for their own care. They can get the same level of service and sometimes better by paying out of pocket. So I'm really, really excited to create a universe and hopefully be a case study for other companies and other organizations that aim to be like Simplex, to actually be like Simplex and actively work to bring health coaches into their ethos.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Was it gut-wrenching though, Erin?
Yeah.
making that decision. But yeah.
No, but it's important. I mean, it also feels like it feels generally exciting, and it feels very new. Hear me out. So we just think through both of our time spent in the health coaching industry and how the health coaching industry, because it was pretty fledgling when we started, and now it's established and establishing and becoming different exponentially every year. And now it's like, now this kind of thing exists where there's a need for health coaches. The the benefit of health coaching from the perspective of client and patient outcomes is 100% clear, inarguable. The healthcare industry is wisening to it. There's organizations that are running clinical studies, trials to see the efficacy, and then extrapolating that out to larger populations of the unwell masses, shall we say. Do you feel like this does it feel like it came out of nowhere, the explosion onto this side of the health coaching world? So we're talking about getting away from the private practice thing, and now there's this industry for health coaching. What's your point of view on where that came from and how it's going to continue to grow?
Yeah. So yes and no. It did seem to happen quickly in terms of, it went from, boy, wouldn't it be cool if, to, oh, there are these opportunities, seemed to happen kind of quickly. Part of that might be because we've always been over here teaching coaches how to build a business, because we grew up at a time where that was the only option and that was our laser focus. And meanwhile, perhaps these opportunities were rolling out. But also for a long time, even when these job opportunities did hit my radar, they were like $12 an hour, $15 an hour, which again, nothing to sneeze at, but that's not going to support a family in most cases. So it was kind of like you could go get a job and earn what you would earn as a cashier at the grocery store, or you could start your own business. Like, it wasn't even close. Now those hourly rates are $30, $40 an hour. Some are still paying on the lower end or in the 20s. But, we started out 5 years ago where it was in the teens. We're now on the low end, it's on the 20s, and more are averaging around 30 to 40. So now you're looking at a $65,000, $70,000 a year job, which will help support a family and you'll feel well paid. Where I think health coaches need to start advocating is finding a position or advocating for the ability for them to allow you to grow. And hey, if I'm able to help grow, like keep clients on longer, upsell them to another program, bring other clients in, the ability to earn some sort of over and above your salary kind of compensation. I think we're going to see that change happen, because health coaches, when they're very good communicators generally. And so that's, I think, it. But at the same time, for years, when I explained to other practitioners what I did, they were like, boy, I need somebody like you in my practice. I heard that over and over and over again, and nobody did anything with it until they did. Until then, all of a sudden. And so I think independent practitioners in particular, in terms of like chiropractors, functional medicine doctors that weren't a part of this large hospital system, right? They were independent private clinical practitioners. They're trying to figure out how to pay this person. And boy, does insurance pay for it? Or if they were a practitioner that didn't take insurance anyway, all right, how am I going to fold what it is you do into what I charge patients? Or is this another side item? So I think for a number of years, many of those practitioners were trying to figure out how to do that and how to pay those people. And lots of different practitioners have found different models that work really well for them. So all of this is maturing. So I do think for years there was this, boy, I need somebody like you. But how do I do that? And now they're starting to figure that part out. And I think what would be cool is if we start to see companies that's what they do, is they hire and train health coaches and then they contract them out.
Right. Yes, that. And I was thinking through the idea of the industry maturing, and kind of what you did, which is, you got into Simplex's orbit by offering this internship for coaches, and then the need for more structure and integration of the health coaching part of the business it grew. And it was like, this is now an entire category of the business that needs to be supported better. And so here's the deal. We talk about it like you can either go the entrepreneurial route or you can go get a job. And
Right.
I don't want to make it sound like, or, just go get a job. Just go get a job. This is not just going to get a job. This is implanting yourself in an organization as the health coach and growing as health coaching grows and becoming the leader of health coaching in an organization, right? So taking the bull by the horns, there's still a bull by the horns aspect to going and getting a job because it's still relatively new and maturing.
Right.
It's not like going to get a job at the bank. This is a new kind of industry that you're getting hired to start these systems and processes. And as it grows, you can grow within an organization. There's immense opportunity in the
100%.
employment space for health coaches, like to
Mhm.
get in now
Right.
and grow as it grows.
Yeah. I mean, look, it all started because I saw somebody within my normal social orbit that was like-minded with me. And we just started talking. And the next thing you know, it was, how can we get our two companies together?
Yeah.
Right. And then this internship arose. And then it was, hey, we have this other thing going on. Now that they really kind of have a stronger understanding about what a health coach actually does, that's what we need for this program. Hey, do you think you can do this? And I'm like, how much time do you really need? I'm and that this is where this blossoms into. And I do think, again, it's not like, oh, the universe it's because as a health coach, I'm not afraid to talk to people about what I do. And clearly I'm passionate about it. That sparks people's interest. So whether it's that tendency then leads you to this thriving independent practice, or that tendency then leads you to have the guts to say, you need a director of health coaching. I actually wasn't pitching myself at first. I was just telling him what he needed. Because I brought that to his attention. He was like, well, I think you should do it, but it could have gone another direction. He could have picked somebody within his existing orbit to do that. But either way, it would have made what I was trying to accomplish in the first place doable and give it the opportunity to grow. So trust your instincts, trust your vision, and start making those connections.
Right. And no matter what route you take, it's going to start small and has the potential to grow if you are open to that. If you're open to the growth and to hanging on and helping to build the thing. Again, this is whatever avenue you take, entrepreneurship or a job, because the director of coaching job is coming up. It's coming up at other organizations. The director of health, I've seen a lot of job postings for this director of coaching at different organizations. These are established organizations that are at the point now where they need somebody to oversee health coaching. But just think of all the organizations coming behind them that are just toe dipping into health coaching. You get into one of those and be an action taker. And you can, this is going to grow quickly and your career path can grow quickly. And then you can be mentoring coaches and building coaching processes that actually help get lots of people healthy. As soon as we get into this clinical corporate space, now we can affect the health of many people. And isn't that the objective for anybody who gets into this line of work? Let's liberate people from the sick care system. And you hear all this kind of language. Yeah. That's our chance. That's our chance to make a huge impact.
And it's interesting. This has come up on a couple calls with people when they're like, yeah, but I look at the job listing and they want you to have a degree in this and blah, blah. I'm like, that's their wish list. Unless something says required or non-negotiable, that's just on their wish list. Where somebody is going to make a decision as to whether they'll interview you is in your cover letter. So have a really, really great cover letter and get good at this. Comes up. We are in the middle right now of our virtual summit where I interviewed Elle Russ, where we were talking about the art of pitching yourself. This goes into your cover letter too. Understand who that company is that you're applying for and what it is they're really looking for. And if there's something on their sort of wish list that you don't have that you think may be important, you can either address it. Here's why I think everything else I bring to the table is more important, or you just lead forward with, here's why I'm the right person for the job and why you should consider me. And your cover letter can get you in the door regardless. It's funny sometimes when I see these job listings where they're paying, $20 an hour and they want you to have a master's degree in public health. And I'm like, who's answering that job if they've got a master's degree in public health? Sorry. Again, this is all like on a wish list. And I think more and more employers are going to realize somebody who's just a really great coach is so much better than somebody that just has a degree in whatever. Because I don't think they offer 4-year degrees in coaching. You don't need a 4-year degree in coaching.
I know. Well, I mean, I just did this exercise on a Q&A episode, which is because a question came in from a listener, which was, how do I get a job as a health coach? And I said, I'm going to pop up indeed.com right now, scroll through. Oh, here's one. Let's see what they're asking for. Like I did this in real time. And this particular job listing, they wanted a graduate from a recognized health coaching school. Now I said, I don't even think the employer knows what that means. What do they mean by recognized? They didn't say, but maybe they meant an NBHWC approved school, in which case, okay, school like us is recognized. I don't know if that's what they meant, but let's go with it. So mention that in your cover letter, mention that on your resume. Even if you're not board approved, I went to a school recognized by the national board. And then it did ask as a nice to have was a 4-year degree, but it's like, why? Like, what's my 4-year literature degree bringing to my health coaching? But one thing that I think is interesting is, because a lot of coaches will say, I don't really have a lot of experience health coaching. It's like, well, you probably have some. I mean, you got results for yourself, probably some family members, probably you had some, practice coaching in your education. I think there's ways to share case studies and outcomes of times you've had success and how you've had success with successful outcomes. And that can go in a cover letter or as some kind of an attachment, a couple of case studies, because ultimately what these employers want is a coach that can get results. Mm-hmm. And everything else they're asking for is just the stuff employers think they're supposed to ask for. They don't even, with all respect to these employers, I don't think they know what they're asking for. I don't think they know what they need. So to your point, it's like, how can I pitch myself as the change-making health coach here? Yeah. And that's what they want ultimately.
100%. So I'm excited to dig in. I'm excited to continue kind of this next extension, because clearly this organization is very friendly to Primal. And I see this as just kind of like my 2.0 role in terms of promoting this lifestyle and everything we teach here at Primal Health Coach Institute. And I'm grateful for the experience I had and every single person I've met. We've met some phenomenal people just on this podcast, let alone just the fantastic students and graduates and all the people that we've met. And it's just 2.0, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm excited.
Growth all around. Very exciting, very cool. It's fun to see as a couple of old timers in the industry, the whole industry growing, and we get to grow, and you can grow if you're listening. It's a growth period for all of us. So jump on.
Yes. Awesome. So onward and upward in 2024.
Yeah. Season 6. Here we go.
Here we go.
This podcast was brought to you by Primal Health Coach Institute. To learn more about how to become a successful health coach, get in touch with us by visiting primalhealthcoach.com/call. Or if you're already a successful health coach, practitioner, influencer, or thought leader with a thriving business and an interesting story, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us at hello@primalhealthcoach.com and let us know why we need to interview you for Health Coach Radio. Thanks for listening.